Right. So this is, you got to come in closer. We're at NTU. So this is us doing a face-to-face podcast. So this is the first time we've done this, and the reason why we're here.
Look at each other.
Yeah, it feels weird, doesn't it? Well, we've still got an audience to kind of entertain. So the reason why we're here, Ryland Consulting, the company that we are, we basically have for the last 4 years given a prize of £1,000 per year split between 3 students, computer science students that have done the best progressed. Now, what we've done since then is upped it now to 6 students. So it's £2,000 split between 6 students, and it's a 10-year commitment. So over, I think now we're 4 years into that 10-year commitment. And that means that every year they invite me to do a bit of a talk and basically do a bunch of handshake photos with everyone as well. And I think we're about to get kicked out, but hopefully if we stay committed to this recording, then hopefully we won't be kicked out. So give the talk about basically my entrepreneurial journey. And this time I took a bit of a different edge because last time, I think my last talk was very much like, this is the journey and this is the detail and a bit more detail. This time I was a bit more vulnerable, said like some more vulnerable stuff about, I used to want to be a bin man when I was a kid. And, I once spelt Wednesday wrong in a calendar and it was printed 3,000 times, and it's all about character and those kind of things form character. And then I was talking about impact. And I think that those two things are the main things that I wanted them to take away is are they dreaming big enough? And then think about character and impact. And impact is about looking back to give forward. So that's why we're here. But anyway, what are we going to talk about this week?
I think we need to give context of why we might get kicked out of this room at any point.
Okay, yeah. So if this podcast cuts at any point, why is it going to cut at any point?
So we are on the NTU campus that's based over in Clifton right now, and we were finding the best placed to do this podcast. So it is a lecture theatre. So this is a projector for a lecturer at any point, and we don't know. We're 2:45. There could be a lecture at 3, so this could be a very short podcast, or us running down the hill.
What we should do is keep it rolling. Basically, we've already had our first moment of someone looked into the room and then suddenly like whimpered away, basically, probably because, I don't know, maybe they think that we're doing an actual video call, or even though you will see that actually it's just me and Tom on the call, but maybe they can't see because the door is literally just 2 meters away.
Speaking to the Chancellor of Nottingham Trent University.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chancellor. No, maybe they can hear us. So we just be like, yes, Mr. Chancellor. There's actually also a divide on the other side of this. So maybe 5 meters ahead of us, there's a divide which can be opened and closed, which there is a group of another group of people on the other side. So they probably can hear us, although can't hear them. But yeah,
it'll be soundproofed.
Do we want to talk about creativity? No, you
confidence.
You had, yeah, basically
pretend you should be here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is
or have a microphone at any point.
Pretend you're here for an interview. Remember that guy that did the BBC interview, and he's like, "I'm here for a job interview." Oh yeah, so come in here, and then you're literally like,
Maybe
"Oh
we should bring someone into the podcast."
Oh yeah, let's do that. Literally, James or like Jenny. Thanks for coming in and joining us. I would say yes.
Tell us about your political view.
Yeah, and this is the EDL leader. Whatever. I think it's really important to have utter confidence and project confidence. And I think I've always come up with this phrase, like march up to the moment. And what I mean by that is if there's a moment in life that you're unsure about a decision and that decision is coming up towards you, then you should basically go with all your uncertainty, with all your questions, and walk up to that moment and until that basically happens. So then you're able to decide so basically say yes, 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 until it comes to sign on the dotted line. And at that point, you can decide whether or not you want to do it or don't want to do it. And it takes a lot of guts to do that, because I think a lot of the time there's this guilt that when we say yes, our yes must be our yes, and we shouldn't say yes to something if we're going to pull out and all this stuff. And I think we need to change for basically living for other people, to live for our own needs in certain circumstances. So, for example, like a job application or whatever, it's fine to submit 2 applications. It's fine to do interviews for both and like go right up into the moment and say yes to both. And then gut instinct, you have 2 offers on the table, and then you can be like yes or no. It reminds me of when I applied for Wonga. So back when I was in my digital agency, I needed to basically earn more money. And I decided to look for another job, and the recruiter was like, "What? You only being paid that much?" Which I think was a ploy, but anyway. I went to interview for Wonga, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to join Wonga. I'm going to join Wonga. I'm going to join Wonga, all the way until they literally offered me a role. I then used that to basically say, hey, I've been offered this role, so I'm thinking of doing it. And they were like, we can offer you this. We can offer you this. And I was like, having an iron. And basically I was backwards and forwards. Wonga then came back and offered 5K more, which I thought was awesome. And I decided to still stay, mainly because there were some projects that kind of like assisted, and I would have been out of my depth in Wonga, really. But I was literally saying yes, 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 which I used as a negotiation technique, but I didn't know I was going to use it as a negotiation pivot in that agency. And the recruiter was so annoyed at me. But ultimately, is she paying my rent? No, she's not. Like, is she the one doing the job? No, she's not. So regardless of the frustration, regardless of how that looks for her and her client, it doesn't matter. I would say, like, cool, you're annoyed, but what was your plan B as a recruiter? Like, you should have a plan B, because if it falls out, you should have like something in the pocket to be like, don't worry, client, I've got this plan B that you really liked as well, you know? Yeah. So that's not my fault. I need to do what I need to do for me. So yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that, because I, in my mind, had convinced myself, I need to convince myself that I'm going to leave to build the confidence to leave. And I basically marched right up until the moment until they gave me a paper, what do they say, like a paper contract, or like like an agreement to say, like, we're going to pay you this much, and if you sign up, yeah. So yeah, I would say march up to the moment with all the insecurities, with all the concerns, with all the how is this going to work, and do things for you, and try to remove the bad doctrine, aka the bad things you've been taught, or the things you've been taught that you've kind of taken a different view on. For example, biblically, there's the whole turn the other cheek. Now, turn the other cheek, in my opinion, used to be, oh, you should allow someone to hit you kind of thing, right? Like, oh, I've got this cheek, well, you can hit me on this cheek. So like, it's okay to be hurt again, you know, multiple times. Like, if not, like, kind of allow that. But I recognize as I've got older, that was actually just bad interpretation, which is kind of a little bit my fault. Maybe it was the way that it was delivered. I don't know. But let's say that I've just taken it and I've run with it, which then has instilled this lower self-confidence. And then as I've got older and kind of ingested more resources, I realized that actually turn the other cheek was more so kind of like give someone an opportunity, right? Like, give them a chance, as in, like, you only have one cheek. So give them the benefit of the doubt. If it happens again, cool, I'm off. And that is a different interpretation, and a more true interpretation, in my opinion, than the first interpretation, which was actually incorrect. But I lived my life with the idea of turn the other cheek, so it's okay to be screwed over. And I think there's lots of, and I guess in this particular context, we're talking about Christianity and Christian lessons, kind of like not quite outworking them, probably because, broadly speaking, as a British culture, we're a little bit woe is me, and, you know, little and kind of like less confident in ourselves and stuff. Or maybe I'll speak for myself. Like, I would say that's the outworking for me.
This is the most adrenaline-filled podcast I've ever done.
Are you adrenalized?
Someone walks past, I am super triggered, as if I'm back in school, about to be told off that I'm in the wrong class, but we're living with it.
You know what we should do? If someone says, hang on a minute, I'm meant to be in this room, and we'd be like, no, we're so the number is 121. No, we're meant to be in 121. Aren't you meant to be in 122? And let's see how long we can go. And if we capture this on camera, this would be so funny.
We've booked this in.
No, we like for 3 o'clock. No, we booked it till 3. So we've still got 9 minutes, kind of thing. But yeah, what's your take on that? Let me give me your take on that.
Well, it seems like you're still coming in hot from your giving out the prizes.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm hitting the afternoon slot.
Oh no! Okay, everybody, Tom's left us. Tom has left the building.
So, instead of what your take is on that holistically, is there anything more specific? Because my brain is better with specifics.
So I would say, yesterday when we were talking about, so we've come up to Nottingham just on the, like, last night we came up when we were just chatting and stuff, and I was like, oh, we so should have recorded the podcast last night, because we were talking about some really interesting stuff. But you were saying about how you want to basically create lessons outside of this like bad doctrine and stuff, to be able to like mold it into lessons, because a lot of people take things and it doesn't, and apply them incorrectly, which is not like their fault necessarily. They're not trying to do that, but they apply it incorrectly. And really what it needs to be is like, you know that thing where it says turn the other cheek, and you basically outlive that lesson in X. Actually, you should outlive it in Y, and the liberation that brings. So what other kind of doctrine stuff have you believed or heard that people are applying incorrectly, or you're applying incorrectly? Is that detailed enough?
That is very detailed.
Too detailed. Back it up.
Yeah, that's too detailed. Can you go with the medium?
Yeah, so that was too cold. I want medium. Medium heat.
I feel like, what's that? The bed's too big, too small, and then just
Goldilocks over here. Yeah.
Goldilocks over here. That's
so what's the medium head?
So I think for me, I'm looking at potentially creating content on. I'm trying to think of a slogan of what would work. And it's basically Bible with baggage. And I think it's recognizing how you read the Bible with your own culture. If it's family culture,
I'm just going to cut across. Bible with baggage is such a great line. So that's so marketing of you, marketeer.
You're welcome.
I know that's a really good line. Bible with baggage. Yeah, continue.
And basically, it's looking at recognizing we'll always have a certain, I don't know, what would you call it, wrestle or limp towards a certain way. So, for example, I like to help people. So if there's a Bible verse that's like, instead of go the extra mile, you should go 2 miles. Instead of just being compassionate, and that's a good thing that I'm helping people, I end up going 5 miles. So then I'm actually overextenuating myself.
Yeah.
But with that, it's like... Someone just walked in.
We've had operation number 2, so this is 2 for 2. I think we've got to keep going.
And we had to commit to it because there might be people kicking us out in the next 5 minutes. And I think it's recognizing I'm compassionate, so helping people. I just need to recognize I'm partnering with that story in the Bible, rather than letting that story being a whip for me to overextend myself to then I'm not compassionate because I'm zoned out, because I'm walking 5 extra miles, rather than helping someone walk that extra mile, because really they might be a difficult person, and walking an extra mile is being compassionate to you and to them. So I think it is recognizing you will have certain personality traits or backgrounds that would trigger you, but it's going, okay, how do you read through those lenses? Because it's so easy as a Christian of, you've brought Jesus into your life, now you're set free, like everything should be fine again. But actually there is a wave of freeness that you feel that you've never felt before. But then you come back sort of down to reality and realize, well, I'm dyslexic. So when people say at the front of church, like, you should be reading your Bibles more, that's a trigger for me, because I feel like I'm back in school. I can't keep up with reading. But I know separately, I go onto the Bible app that is audio and I tend to listen to it, or I tend to listen to podcasts, because maybe the content of the Bible, trying to cram it into my brain and not understanding it or listening it or interpreting it incorrectly, it's better to hear other people talking about one topic for me to take in my life to then transform my life. I think it's recognizing, how do you look through the lens of me with dyslexia? Maybe I'm a performer because it's performance because of my hockey background, or culture, we're both Welsh, or we've both been to university or not university. And it's recognizing you'll have those different hats on. How do you read it and take it in to transform your life in that situation?
That was great. I would say it is about, again, I think we've probably mentioned this before, but the self-analyzing, being like empathetic to yourself and trying just to like challenge, like, why am I thinking what I'm thinking? Why do I feel the way that I feel? What's the root of some of the, what's the root of some of the fruit that you see? The fruit might be bad. The fruit might be good. But what's the root of that? And it might be that, something isn't quite as good as it could be because you've overstretched. And actually it's a reassessment of, why am I overstretching? Oh, okay. The root of that is because I've read here that it says that I should do it. I should do it because I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah. And actually dissecting that, challenging yourself to look at why you do what you do in the way that you do it, recognizes that the most effective, I was going to say the word environmentally friendly. It's not that word. What's the word where it's like you use low energy, but you can keep it going?
Sustainable? Yeah,
it's like the most sustainable method of whatever you're doing. So I would say, with with what we're kind of hitting up to is like, keep on finding resources to challenge the way that you currently think, because it might be that you've got a piece of doctrine, or like somebody at school told you a certain thing, or like someone said, oh, you're not going to amount to much, or whatever, and that basically the root of that is providing X fruit or X bad fruit, and kind of like dissecting and self-analyzing that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a short and sweet session that we're doing, because I can tell that there's someone outside.
And on that point,
that looks like
security
it's about to kick us out.
And until next time, keep hammering those nails.
Ba-dum-bum.